Okay.
Why is there a dick butt on the slime?
Oh, there is. Amazing.
Yeah. And then it just says ban. Okay. Hey guys, you're watching Ask Ant. My name's Chris.
I'm Kurt, or Bertus.
And today we're going to talk, we're going to answer some questions of yours.
For those of you tuning in for the first time, this is a question answer show. We take questions from our YouTube, our Instagram, emails, pretty much everything and anything, and we answer them for you. So, let's get started.
Let's get doing it.
Pull the first one.
Pell Letter asks, MTW Reaper or Inferno, which bucking?
Okay, so, good question. Actually, it's just referring to the MTW. So, sadly, we have not used the MTW and the Reaper, or the Reaper and the MTW. We do have experience with the Inferno and the MTW. The Inferno and the MTW shoots amazing. It's great. One thing to note about the Reaper is it is a fixed volume system, which usually isn't a problem. It's just something to keep in mind. A lot of people like I would say overall the Inferno is more popular from what we see. Like most of our customers go with the Inferno. Not to say that's anything bad against the Reaper. It's just that's what's more popular. People know more about the Inferno. Excuse me. And there is a little bit more adjustability with the dwell since it's not a fixed dwell. So with that said, a lot of the Wolverine units in rear biased use they work best with the Mad Bull bucking. Like that's what Wolverine recommends. So it's the Mad Bull Shark red bucking is probably the best solution there. We have customers use the Prometheus purples, but the Infernos and Reapers are a little bit picky about that. So, I would just say, Mad Bull red shark bucking would be the best. And as far as I personally would probably do the Inferno, but it's completely up to you. So I'd say do your research, see what people think, because the Reaper has just been recently released with the MTW, so there's actually not a lot of them out there in that combination yet. So, but keep your eyes peeled.
You said unit.
Unit? I did say unit. So, next question. Call sign Onslaught asks, advice on how to be financially and responsible with Airsoft.
I think he's trying to say how to be financially responsible with Airsoft. It's a simple answer.
That autocorrect.
You can't be. Like, Chris
is the king of financial responsibility. Chris
is totally brought it way back in because I sold a lot of guns and for a lot less than what they're actually worth. I learned my lesson on that one. It's an expensive sport, and a lot of people come into it and like, how can I do this the cheapest way possible while getting maximum quality? Is like the most common. Like, I like when people message us being like, hey, what can I get for $50 off your website? And I'm like, not a lot that you're going to be like...
Not guns.
Yeah. So, and then like a lot of people are like, oh, like, let me see your cheapest gun. Is this your best gun? And I'm like, it's not a bad gun. Like, we don't sell any... I don't think we sell any bad guns. But we do sell like some like lower tier cost and efficiency guns, and they just don't perform as well as like a Crytek, which is like a $400 gun. Yeah. So how to do it responsibly and financially? Basically, you want to learn how to do everything yourself. Like, teching gets really expensive, and so it's like having to pay for a tech to open up your gun
every time.
That's $35 right there. Learning how to look at a gun and decide what parts you can pull off of it. A lot of people, I know a couple people buy part boxes, and they get really good stuff out of it, but it's stuff that people aren't really sure that they're looking at. So buying used, knowing what you're looking at, knowing how to utilize it, knowing what you want from the get. When you go into if you don't know what you want from a build, I have people that call me and they're like, hey, I want to build this gun. And, it's it ends up being let's go with a Mark 18 build. And so like it's like a Mark 18, and it took us $1,600 to get there, and it's like they're like, what? How did that cost so much? I'm like, well, because you changed your mind like 8 times. But then I'll have somebody else that'll call in and be like, hey, I want a Mark 18. I want this in it, this in it, and this in it, and that's all I want. And it's like, okay, cool. And then it ends up being like a $400, $500 build. So it's like, if you know what you want from the get-go, that's going to help you. And then, honestly, one of the things that like you see a lot of people doing to become more like financially stable within like the airsoft community, especially like these big names, is that they build a following, a massive following, work really hard, and then get sponsorships. Sponsorships are super difficult to get, you know, especially like we're a company that deals in sponsorships, but it's also one of those things that if you can work with like ambassador programs, like brand ambassadors, like there's discounts, there's always sales, being conscious of when sales take place, being conscious of like who's in what industry to like, excuse me, to like, you know, help here and there. That's another great way to sort of like help cut cost and be more financially conscious. You don't need a gun every other week. You don't need a gun every other month. Sometimes you don't even need a gun every year. You know, it's one of those things, just build what you want, make sure it's what you want the first time around, and learn how to, you know, keep your guns together.
Yeah. And as far as from my take of it, you know, I have been running the same chest rig for 7 years, unchanged. So one thing I would advise doing is like what Chris said is, you know, make sure you know what you want. So, for example, if you're building a chest rig or a plate carrier, and you know that you're going to, you know, utilize, you know, X amount of magazines, or if you know that you're going to utilize, say, a DMR style where it's like, oh, hey, in the future I may get an M14 that takes 7.62 mags. So then you could build your chest rig. It may cost a little more to get it at first, but you could build it so that it has universal mag pouches. So that way you can use an M4, an AK, an M14, SR25, whatever you want. So then that way down the road, you don't have to buy a whole new chest rig. You don't have to buy everything. And then with that said, you can always look at it as like, oh, I'm going to spend a little more now, but this is going to last me for 7 years, 10 years, and I'm not going to change it. So that's like the biggest thing. And the same goes with a gun too. Like if you build something, like you do your reviews, you know, say you pick up a Crytac.
You've had the same guns for as long as I've known.
Yeah. I literally have guns from our first Red Wolf order, which was like 2008. So, and I'm still running the same things. I mean, they've changed internally. Actually, the last time I changed them internally was like 2010. So we're going on 10 years of unchanged guns.
Yeah, that's not quite
Ish.
true.
I mean, with a fusion engine.
Well,
you know, like I dropped the fusion
like
engine
the main
in
systems inside the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you've tweaked here and there.
Yeah.
So
It's more of maintenance. But it's like cheap tweaking too. It's like, oh, I added a shim here. This cost me $10. So definitely it's about planning and making sure, because the worst thing is buying something and being like, oh, I don't really like how it is. Let me sell it for half the price. And then let me buy something else twice as expensive. And then it just keeps adding up. Same with guns, like Chris said, like if you find a gun you like, stick with it. Maximum, if you really want to, buy a secondary backup. You know, so that way it's like you have 2 guns. More than likely you're never going to have to use that second gun, but you can always rotate them out.
I have 2 guns and a novelty. That's it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our advice on that.
3 guns and a novelty.
See, I had this mindset of having them for each role. So like I have my like regular rifle, I have my support weapon, I have a DMR, you know, I have a like a CQB rifle, but like in reality, my one rifle does all of it, except for this. Like it's obviously not a DMR and support, but I mean that's the one I run the most. I just run my regular rifle. The other ones are really cool and nice to have, but in reality, they just sort of sit there until I need them. So you're up.
Caleb Klein asks, are you going to the Milwaukee Offensive in the Northridge Mall in March 2019? Unfortunately, so March is pretty much booked. Our year's actually pretty much booked. So I do a lot of our traveling. I will be going to 11 events in 11 weeks, and none of them is in Milwaukee, unfortunately.
Who's putting that event on? Is that mirror or is that?
I have no idea.
It's probably mirror.
Probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I know
have so
Alphonse
much
is
stuff
going to that. Alphonse is going to go. And I think the MC Kydex boys are going to go.
Well, it's in our backyard,
Yeah. So
pretty much. So
have to be a dummy not to.
you might see some of our like.
Compatriots.
Yeah.
Our boys.
You might see some
Our
of them
secret
there.
lovers.
Whoa.
All right, go ahead.
DanBuff asks, "What are some of the best bags to carry HPA tanks?"
Ooh, I got this.
So, two different sides of this. If you're referring to just carrying bags around for like storage, obviously you want to have a bag that is, padded and you have like compartments in it and you can protect the bags. So that's a real simple answer there. But if you're looking for like what type of packs to carry on your person, like a hydration pack or like a plate carrier pack.
Dude, so One Tigers makes a Nalgene bottle holder.
Yeah.
And it's like Molly. You just write that on there. Boop. It goes right in. Just like, it's like almost the exact size. It sticks out the top. Now,
Are you talking about a 13?
No.
Or which one?
Like an actual, like a 45. Like, dude, it's a boy.
Okay.
It's a big guy. You know what an Nalgene bottle is, right?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do
But the
you?
question is, does it hold the regulator and everything too?
Well, it
Or is
pops
it
out
just
the top a little bit, but
Okay.
it's sneaky. It's still sneaky peeky. But the Pantac, the mini
mini
map,
map.
yeah, dude,
Yeah, it was
that's the
designed
pack.
for it,
Yeah, that's
so.
exactly like. It opens up. It has a little spot right for it, and then if you run 13s like I do, it has a spot that holds one of the 13s. You can put two in the 13s where a larger tank would go, and then obviously you have one in your gun, and then also the LBX dump pouch. It has a little opening in the top, so you can just regular sticks right out of the top. You can adjust.
Yeah.
Not that you would adjust on the
I was
field.
going to say, the only biggest thing you have to be careful of, as long as your setup's good, you have to be careful of having your reg exposed.
Yeah.
That's all. Some people do it, and they're fine. Other people do it, and they hit it off a tree. And I've seen people carry it in a dump pouch on their belt, and it's just like swinging all over the place. Don't do that. If you do it, make sure it's secure.
Stay away from trees. I think
Yeah,
that's the goal. Yeah.
they're everywhere. But yeah, the Pantac mini map, the GMR mini map, the
Dude, you
LBX
lost
mini
your
map.
mind when we saw the GMR mini maps.
Well, they had a dual tank. I can't remember what it's called. It's not a mini map, but it's like a dual 62 tank pack. It's really cool. We might actually start carrying them. But yeah, any pack that you can keep that tank secure. Like I use an HSGI M2P pack. It doesn't really have a place for it, but it has some where you store the hydration carriers and stuff. It like sits right down in there. So I use that. But the biggest thing is just making sure your regulator's safe, the tank's secure, make sure nothing's like kinking the lines. So most people go with the Pantac mini map because it's just universal. It goes on everything. The other thing is Condor, like the hydration packs, the
LCSs,
mollies. Yeah, there's all kinds, like the Tide Pool. There's all kinds. So we have almost all of them on our website too. So if you want to check them out.
A plastic bag.
Yeah, plastic bag.
Plastic bag. Oh, there's two
Uh-oh,
in here.
you got two. Here, I'll take that
Take
one.
that one. Yours is probably going to be better than mine. Matt Hunley asks, what's your opinion on the WeTech SMG8 and what would be a good secondary AEG? I don't know what the SMG8 is. I don't have my
I'm
phone.
going to look it up real quick. What is it?
The WeTech?
WeTech.
Do you know that they're making instant meals?
We?
Yeah, and they also do wine.
That's like an MP7 looking.
Kind of.
Looking boy. So the WeTech SMG8, it's a gas blowback. So it's pretty much like an MP7, a little more futuristic looking, but literally it's an MP7.
It looks like it's from the Matrix.
Cost about $200. So
200 beans, man.
So,
So I don't know really, like WeTech is good.
well, it's actually not a second. It's not an.
It's not AEG at
it's
all.
Blowback.
I'm thinking that I'm going to go off the assumption that he knew that and he was asking a secondary question of what would be a good secondary AEG, and I don't know if that's like secondary, like what else should I carry on me, or like what should be a second gun for me to get. I'm going to go with what should I carry on me if you're running a secondary AEG. For Omega events, I run 2 rifles in case one breaks down. So the other one, so I'll run my VFC, my Big John, and then I'll run a little boy. Right now I have this one that I'm excited to use. It's like a, I think it's like a combat machine.
Yeah, that's a
monstrosity thing.
gun.
It has an MP5. Like it's got a folding. It like literally collapses in, and it's got an amplifier on it, a grenade launcher, a 2X, and the rattiest PEC box ever, with an SSG and a gate tighten in it, and that's a good secondary. It goes maybe like 5 feet, but oh boy.
I mean, you can, if you're looking for, like, as far as the Wii SMG, we don't really have any experience with it. We'd assume that it's probably very similar to, like, you know, a KWA MP7. However, I'm not sure of the quality versus that. As far as, like, a secondary AEG, I mean, a lot of people, you know, like the shorter variants. Like, you could go with, like, a Crytek PDW. You could go with some of, like, an MP5. I know VFC's coming out with some really nice MP5s here shortly. You could go with like an MP5K. You could go with Elite Forces coming out with the AEP or the AEG MP7. So like that would be cool. VFC makes some PDWs. So I mean, it's like endless, really. Just stick with a nice brand and get a high end, and like you're pretty much good to go. Can't go wrong. Solid Singularity LCT versus E&L for an HPA body. So both of them are good. The only thing you have to keep in mind is both of them are going to require a different a nozzle. So there's an LCT nozzle you'd have to get, or an E&L nozzle. So yeah, I would say both. The LCT currently is a little more popular than the E&L, and I know they actually offer body kits, so you could actually just buy the body kit as long as you have the gearbox shell. E&Ls, they only come as, you know, the complete rifle. So price point, I think they're probably both about the same. LCT probably has some cooler looking stuff just because they have a lot more selection on it.
Yeah.
But
LCTs are banger, man.
So yeah, they're pretty good.
All right, let's get fishy in here. Nepa Airsoft asks,
You always ask good questions.
I see a few paintball fields here in Eastern PA are doing some airsoft events and open PAs. Open plays, sorry. I think it's a good trend, as most paintball fields have some great field layouts and are within decent driving distances from people. I think it is a good thing for airsoft. Your opinions on how to convince other paintball field owners to do airsoft events or open plays? So that's actually something that like I deal with a lot, and I would honestly say there's really not like a whole lot of push to it, because most paintball fields are actually getting into it. Like they're coming to places like us, like, you know, like their local shops and things like that, or they're even opening local shops to start carrying like airsoft stuff, because there's just a general desire to sort of like stay relevant and within the market. So a lot of fields are already in that transition. It's just hard to just do it. You know what I mean? Like one day just be like, hey, we're here, we're doing airsoft, blah, 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 blah. Because the two sort of communities are very secular. Mm-hmm. So we've had a couple different people and that have been like, hey, like, we want to work with you. And then we're like, okay, cool. And then once they sort of see like how easy it is to start like getting into it, they're like, okay, cool. Like, is it cool if we sort of like go off on our own? We're like, aces, dude. Because like that's the other thing is a lot of fields also understand is you don't want to go play at the same spot. So they're like also helping each other. And which I think is like really crazy is that they're helping each other to like build this network of like different fields you can go play at, because, you know, like I've said before, competition breeds business, and they're all looking for that business. They're all looking for a good time to hang out. So, you know, you the player benefit from that.
I was gonna say one of the so paintballers or paintball fields that aren't familiar with airsoft may have a little bit of kickback in the sense of like they make a lot of money off of paintballers, because
they make a lot of money off of October in paintball.
Well, there's that too.
Yeah.
But like, you know, as an airsofter, you know, you're just paying admission, whereas a paintballer, you know, they're paying less of an admission, but they're buying all their ammo. Like, you know, you're talking like $50 to $80 a case of paint, which is 2,000 rounds, where we're spending like $10 for 5,000 rounds. and most people bring it anyway, like they bring their own. So a lot of paintball fields, if they have paintball on that day, they're going to be more likely to do that because that's their moneymaker. However, if you can figure out a way to fit in when they're not making money, like in the winter, that's a good time to say like, hey, you should really try Airsoft out. Would you mind if we run some games or help you do this? And then you can go in and show them that, okay, this is how it works. This is what goes on. And then they may be more likely to make time for it during their busy season. So like if they have a day where it's like, they have a big event on, say, a Saturday, they might be able to fit Airsoft in on Sunday because since they just had that big event, paintball is going to be very slow for them. So like that way they can sort of do both. So that's what our local fields do. So
Yes.
probably the best way to handle that. Thank you for the big question there. It's a good question. K. Tavares, 72. What's the best thing to buy on your site for $50? We were just talking about
Dude,
that. So on a gun level, which I didn't mention this before, so for $50, you're pretty much in the like UTG tri-shot shotgun era.
Which you've had forever.
So I would say that's probably my favorite CQB weapon. So if you have a CQB field that is a field that has smaller engagement distances, so it's like the coolest thing you can run. So for like probably $55 to $60 and plus in a pack of shells, say like $70, you can actually get a tri-shot shotgun with shells. Take that to your CQB field and have like the best time ever, and it's like deadly if you get good at it. The only time, the fun story is I always like going to play CQB and being as simple as possible. So it's like, oh, hey, here's my chest rig. Here's my shotgun. I'm just going. So we drove out to Odin's to go play. And I'm like, I'll just take my shotgun, not realizing how big the place was. It was like 40,000 square feet. And the engagement distances were like outside. So the shotgun, like I have an older one. I've had it for years and years. So it's like sort of worn down a bit. But it's great for close up. But once I get into outside engagements and I'm going against riflemen, it's like I don't have that much range. So it's very hard to do. So I wouldn't advise it for like that type of environment, like a longer engagement distance. But for CQB, it's like the best thing because it's just you take 6 shells, you load them up, and it's like, hey, I'm ready to play. Go out on the field, go through them, come back, reload, or you can even reload on the field. So I would say that's probably the best gun for $50. Otherwise, I mean, you have BBs, you have...
I would honestly say right now we got some like awesome deals that are going on like BDUs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's like a sort of like every so often kind of thing. One of the things I would say, get yourself either, like what are the Condor backpacks? They're usually, I think they're around like 50.
They're probably around there. They're not even on the website yet because we have so many restocks that just come in.
No, I meant the ones that we do have out there because we have a couple.
Oh, actually, the hydration packs and stuff. Those are in that price range.
I would say grab yourself a solid set of knee pads. Get yourself
knee pads, yeah.
Some good pouches, some
gloves,
little gloves, dude. Some little bits and bobs here and there. There's a ton of stuff you can get for $50.
iPro.
Yeah, the Pyramex, Highlanders and stuff like that. So yeah.
So yeah,
that's crazy though.
I would say if you do get iPro, try to get ones that have thermal. Mm-hmm. That's a dual pane lens that helps with fogging a good bit. So yeah,
you're not gonna get that for $50 though.
Yeah, they're 36 after tax.
Is that just for the lens?
No, that's for the Pyramex
iForce.
iForce. Yep. So it's not a face mask; it's just goggles. So, but cool. Want me to do another one?
That's how you're up, Scooby.
Jake Break Kelly asks, Polarstar jack or fusion engine? So I'm very biased on this. I have fusion engines in all my guns. So if you have unlimited funds and you want the best performance between these two, I would say fusion engine because the fusion engine has a lot of aftermarket parts. So you can put in a high flow nozzle, you can put in a low flow poppet, you can put a banjo on it, you can put poppet shims, and the fusion engine will become, after you upgrade it and put all the stuff into it, it can become either the most powerful, like if you're going for like a DMR, so it has a very wide range of FPS, or it can become the most efficient. So the jack doesn't have aftermarket parts. I mean, you can swap nozzles and put them in different guns. So like the jack is it's like about 1,000 shots for a 3000 tank. The fusion engine stock is probably like 700, 800 on a 13. But once you do all your things, you can get above 1,200 rounds out of a 13. But the biggest thing with the jack is if you have a gun that say you get a VFC Avalon or a Crytac. Actually, a Crytac's a better example. If you get a Crytac, the ambi selectors on them are like very proprietary. So if you put a fusion engine in the Crytac, your ambis won't work. Yeah. However, if you put a jack or say an F2 in it, or any system that is a cylinder-based system that's a drop into the existing gearbox, then you can utilize all the existing hardware on your gun. So it's a lot easier to maintain all your functionality.
I prefer, it's funny because every time anybody asks this question, because we get asked this a lot, like on the phone or like I get asked a lot online or something, I always say, like he'll always say fusion engine, I always say Polarstar jack. It's the price point. It's the price point.
Yeah, price point.
It's the ambi selector. For me, I've always like, I don't do a lot of installs, but I've done a Polarstar jack, and I've watched Luke do a fusion engine, and I'd rather do a Polarstar jack than a fusion engine. I don't know why. And then it's just, I feel like it's less invasive of a system, so it's just easier just to like.
Yeah. So that's where I look at it. I'm like, fusion engine, you're dropping the whole thing in. So there's like a lot less to like screw with. But to throw some extra mindset into this, if you would go between the jack or the F2 is their it's essentially a mini fusion engine that fits into the side of the gearbox. So like you can, if you have that issue where it's like, oh man, I don't want the fusion engine because I'm going to lose my ambi on this specific gun, which you can get ambi to work on different ones. And there's different kits you can do and different things. But you do have that option to get the fusion engine performance inside the gearbox by doing an F2, which is the same size as a jack. It's just dual solenoid, has more adjustability. But, so, yeah, that's sort of our take on that.
Everybody on Instagram said I have a gross beard.
The dentist today, both of my dentists were like, yeah, I really like your beard. You don't get many of those these days, And then I walk out, and his dad, who is the head dentist, comes out of a random room, not knowing anything he said, and was like, hey, I really like your beard.
Yeah,
it's like, I think I'm going to grow one.
You're perfect,
yeah.
and I'm trash.
I'm like, I need to trim it.
All right, here's a question being read by the Trash Monster.
Hey, Trash Monster.
By call sign Onslaught. I'm the Trash Monster, not call sign Onslaught.
I'm the dad now.
This is my company now. Other than HPA, what is another area of airsoft that Yins would like to grow into more? Okay, so this is something that we actually have like a different... No, because you and I have like a different like direction. I'm like over here, and Kurt's like, yeah, maybe that, but definitely this. So...
Oh God, I see where you're going. I was going for high kappa.
I was gonna say we should start carrying like more camping supplies, camping gear, dude. Okay, so like I go to a lot of Milsim events. I don't do a whole lot of like CQB because I don't know if you noticed, I'm fat and I hate running short distances. I could do a light trot across like a field, you know what I mean? But when it comes in like, oh, hey, let's run as fast as we can for kids at like literally half your age, I'm like, haha, no. So Kurt's like, hey, let's build high kappas. Well, let's get into the SpeedQB. Okay, cool. I appreciate SpeedQB. I really do. But, for me, I want to like have a cozy backpack that I could just be like,
you can live in
later, boys, and just zip up TV. I've seen Cat Dog. He had a big coat. He got into it. There was a TV, and Dog shivered outside, and then he brought him in. And I was like, because he went in, it ruined the coat. Why did it ruin the coat? It was big enough for him. It would have been big enough for both of them. Anyway, we should start carrying more camping gear. That's the field of airsoft I want to get into. But Kurt, tell, and go.
What am I telling you?
Well, what do we want to do? What do you want to do?
So,
wobble weebo.
So one of the biggest things that recently, and you're going to see on the website and just in general, we just did a massive restock, and we also did a massive getting all this new stuff. So we're going in the high kappa market. We have AW Customs that just arrived today, as in when we filmed this. We have, we're trying to get TM51s. We have all the Cal technology parts, a lot of different high kappa slides. Pretty much you name it, high kappa wise, we have the parts that we're getting. They'll be here within 2 weeks. But we're also branching into trying to have like all of the accessories available. We have a lot of the newer PTS rails coming in. Actually, they're already here. I just want to take our company into more of like the custom area. We have tons and tons of customers that love Speed QB. We have tons of customers that love Milsim. So we sort of like, we've been mainly Milsim for a long time, but we're trying to like branch out and do both. Like why not do that? So like, we're talking about getting grenade launchers in, which we just got in. All the internals, the pistols, the
You're
gear.
pretty close to hitting me there, Kurt.
Yeah.
You're just out there.
So, I mean, I just want to branch out into whatever we can do. Camping gear is not necessarily out of the question. I just feel like right now is not necessarily the right time.
It's never the right time for a good sleeping bag until you're sleeping in the back of the van with both doors open in the middle of a Walmart parking lot.
That happens, but I had a sleeping bag.
Yeah, and you were shivering your way all the way through the night until you woke up in the morning being like, Chris, I'm so cold. And I was like, I'm sweating over here, Kurt.
Well, that's because I had the whoobies. I was trying to sleep in
two
just two
whoobies,
whoobies.
and you had what looked like a serial killer sleeping bag.
That was a Army issue. Actually, after I put that down, I was fine. You had your glasses off. You can't see when your glasses are off.
Dude, you can't see when your glasses are off.
All right.
But yeah, we stay in Walmart parking lots when we go on trips.
Gonna do it again.
Yeah.
I
It's that
do.
cot life.
Do you suggest
What?
How did both doors end up open in that van?
I don't know.
That
I
was
think we
good.
just had an issue closing them. We literally slept through the night. We're like, man, it's sort of cold in here, colder than it should be.
I think somebody woke up in the middle of the night to go into the Walmart to go poop.
No,
Somebody
I didn't go that out the back door though. I noticed as I was laying there, I'm like, there's light coming through the crack of the door.
And you
like,
didn't do
We
anything.
must have a bad gasket.
You didn't do anything.
Didn't know. It's bad.
Could have let me freeze to death. Do you suggest, Shadow Airsoft asks, do you suggest .2s or .25 BBs for a high kappa?
Higher.
Yeah, higher.
I mean, so most places maybe have like a restriction. So like you might only be able to run 2.5s. There is no reason anyone in Airsoft should run a 2. That's how I feel.
2.8s, yeah, no.
Like-
The 2.8s are the
Twos
lowest I'll go, and even then I'm like, meh. But I usually run 3s. 3s to 4s are
Yeah.
like my standard for anything. It was actually to the point where we went to a field, and I was like, I would really like to run these, and they're like, you can't. And I was like, let me pull out some charts and graphs that says I can.
So here's a big thing. A lot of places, if you do have a BB restriction, like say they limit you to 2.8s or they limit you to 2.5s. 2.5s are probably the lowest I would ever use. Realistically, in my pistols, I run 3.2s, unless there's a weight restriction. You can run even higher. Like I've run 40s. As long as your hop has enough hop travel to do it, like you can do it and it shoots amazing. But for the most part, if I'm running CQB and I'm allowed to, I'll run 3.2s. The big importance there is to make sure that you chrono in joules. So like if you're going to run 3.2s, you need to know the proper joule limit. So like if they're at say, 350 with a 2 is their maximum, then you need to look up the joule limit for that 350 with a 2. Say it's 1.5, which it should be a little less than that. We'll say like 1.3. Then you need to chrono your pistol with, say, 3.2s at 1.3 joules. So then you are field legal, and you're not going to hurt anybody, because there is joule creep with gas blowback guns. So if you, chrono
Joules
at
creeping.
1.3 joules with a 2 and you throw a 40 in there, you're going to be at like 1.7 or higher. So just keep that in mind. But I would recommend running as heavy as you're allowed and as heavy as your gun will allow you to do it, because you're going to get more accuracy, more range, more consistency, and that's it. So none less than a 2.5, definitely more if you can. Yep.
To you.
Danny Ross. Why can't I just find a DSG gear anywhere?
Have you tried singing the song?
What's the song?
I don't know. I thought it was
There's
a
no
song.
So, DSG is dual sector gear.
I
By
think we
the way,
talked about
for-
that in the last video because there was like a couple people who were like, "What does it mean?"
Yeah. So, dual sector gear is essentially a sector gear that has teeth on both sides. So, every rotation, it actually pulls the piston back twice. So, it's a lot snappier, a lot faster. But DSG stuff, I know like SHS gear sets, like we can't find them anywhere. They're always out of stock. So I think what's happening is they're in such high demand that
You're buying them all.
Yeah, the U.S. Retailers and distributors can't keep them in stock long enough, or they're just having shortages overseas. It's hard to tell. But
Or idiots like Mike Kabuki keep buying them and breaking them.
yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. That's the sad question. I would say if there's any sites that you can find that have them, put them on like a in-stock status on their website. So that way, the moment they get them, you get a notification so you can grab it. Now, there are Riot SC.
Yeah.
They custom make, well, I mean, they make really good gear sets. They're very expensive. I haven't seen them as much recently, but that would be a good set to get. But if you're looking to go cheap, they may be a little harder to find. So, hope that helps.
Random guy Kevin asks, "Are we still friends?"
Are you?
No.
I think he just said no.
Yes. You can actually see Kevin at a lot of events with us this year.
Garrett Williams asks, opinions on class structures at Milsim events. At first, I was like, class structures? What about buildings? But I now understand.
Dude,
Support,
okay,
medic,
like,
stuff.
yeah, all right, so here's my thing. Like, on paper, I think they're super cool, and then when I'm out there, somebody's like, here, take this gun, and I'm like, this is what I do now. This is where, like, because that was, like, a thing that, like, we were, like, we'll go to an event, and I'll be like, hey, like, I always run the same gun at every single event that I go to. It's always the Mark 18, Red Line, Gen 2 Airstock, fantastic. Okay, cool. I'll be shooting, and then somebody's like, here, take this gun and while I'm, tying my shoes. And I'm like, okay. And then they'll hand me their, like, $2,000 LMG, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then I see, like, 8 dudes come out. It's not like I'm not going to shoot at that guy, And then they're like, well, bro, you're not that class. And I'm like, then don't tie your shoes, dude, on the field. Like, take that. And then, but then, like at like another event, somebody was like, actually a friend of mine was like, hey, here, I know you're not like a DMR, but my shot's for garbage. Why don't you hit that guy over there? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then I got down on the ground, hid underneath the trees, okay? I sat very quietly. And then, bam, I blew that bitch right out of the water. And so, when I did that, some guy came over and he was like, you just switched from rifle. And I was like, yeah, but my boy, he gave me permission to use his gun to take that boy down over there. And he was like, that's an automatic respawn, go back to respawn. And I was like, worth it.
I don't understand why
Like
people,
and subscribe.
I don't understand why people would make a big deal. It's sort of dumb. Like, the way I look at it is I believe the classes are good, but to be called out for that is sort of dumb. But, I understand having the classes is a good thing because you have, only, so many support gunners, so many DMR guys.
Yeah.
That type of thing. But it should be based on the rifle. Like, there should only be that, say 1 DMR per X amount of squads. But if somebody else uses that DMR, as long as there's not a second DMR that comes out, I think that's pretty cool. Because I've actually handed people my gun and be like, hey, here you go.
That wasn't
Try
an
this.
issue, though. When we were at Cryptic City, there was just me and one other guy, and we were just 2 DMRs running the field, and things got a little one-sided there for a second.
Yeah, it happens.
So,
but yeah, I mean,
I see the
feel
point of it, yeah.
definitely the class structures are good, especially for structured events, because it keeps people from, just pouring ammo everywhere. Like, for example, if there's an ammo restriction and say the rifleman can only have, say it's a Milsim West event, they only have like 500 rounds, but the support gunner can have 2,000 rounds and he can do full, both classes can do full auto, but it'd be sort of dumb for the rifleman to do full auto. unless they have like a stock of ammo that they've taken from people. But like, you know, I feel that it helps structure it and keep it fair. Because if everybody's running support guns, and then there's just the movement is staggered, because then, you know, there's really no true, oh, I'm going to lay support for this. Everybody's just laying support. You know, if there's limited ammo, people are going to think twice about, you know, laying down so much fire. So you're only going to have your support gunners doing that, which makes sense. DMR, you might have, you know, if everybody's running DMR, it might change things, or there could be a safety issue. So yeah, I actually like them, and I feel that when implemented correctly, they work really well, and they have their place. So it's just making sure that it's run correctly is the biggest thing. So, you know, same with medic. You know, you don't want everybody being medic. So like having those extra, like if you have a designated radio guy, if you have a designated medic, if you have a designated grenadier, you know, like that's sort of cool, because it gives those people that have that type of weaponry that they normally run, it gives them a purpose, and not everybody gets that same purpose, which sort of helps them. So, yeah, good question though.
Aaron Miller asks, okay, so I don't think you're going to get this one, because you're a little too far into dad mode, but this is Sicko Mode or Mobamba. Do you get that at all? Okay, so super secret, just between us girls kind of deal. I go on TikTok sometimes. I think it's the new vibe. I really miss mine. So there's this like trend where everyone's like Sicko Mode or Mobamba. I think Mobamba's stupid as shit. But Sicko Mode, okay, I don't like the actual Sicko Mode, but I do like, there's the KK Slider version from Animal Crossing of Sicko Mode that I've been listening to on repeat. It's a banger, dude. Check it out, SoundCloud. Ask your mom to boot up the old dial-up, hop on the computer and look it up. It's a SIK.K.O mode, and it's a banger. Sicko Mode. It's like, it's really good.
Okay.
That one that I was listening to.
So, Yoshi Chestnut asks, how often should you crack open your AEG gearbox and relube it, and how often to relube gas pistols? So, as far as AEG, probably, like, if you use it a lot, I would say maybe once a year to check on it. Look for some wear and tear on the piston, gear sets, and stuff.
Unless you're in, like, real dirty spot. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I've had some real dirty stuff. Like,
yeah.
You know, but it's, if you start noticing a performance drop, if it's before a year, yes, definitely crack into that. But if it's running good and there's no issues, I would say every year, break it down, clean off the lube, put new lube on. For the most part, I mean, your shims should be fine as long as they're shimmed correctly. You might want to check play on your bearings to make sure no bearings are going. As far as gas pistol,
I would say
definitely more frequently.
I would like 4 to 5
games,
plays,
maybe.
Yeah.
Like 4 to 5 like days worth of play. You know, just I actually haven't broke mine down that
because you don't use yours a lot
quickly. I mean, I was using it primarily for my primary for CQB, like
but
3
you
times
were
a
missing
week.
parts. Now you got them, so now it's getting rid of it.
So
yeah, I 4 to 5 times, you know, like 4 to 5 games, and then do it. You know, unless you're in like a nasty pit.
The biggest thing with the gas pistol is you need to make sure that it's lubricated. So, because if that lube dries up or isn't there, you're going to notice it because it's not going to cycle correctly.
Yeah.
So like, it's a lot of just getting used to how your gun should perform and knowing when it's time. There's really no definitive like, yes, this is what needs done at this time, but definitely keep an eye on it. I'd say gas pistols you're going to have a little more because you have to re-lubricate them more frequently because it relies on that, whereas an AEG is sort of all self-contained, and that as long as you use good lube, like we use Tech T on pretty much everything,
I
it
use
just lasts
use
forever.
frog lube because you can also use frog lube as chapstick.
You could do that too. So
Let's get in there. Let's really like crack down. We're gonna lightning round a few of these. This is not a lightning round question. Patrick Steinsaper says, gate MOSFETs, Nanohard specifically, in Titan batteries. Do you think they work together, or is the voltage drop-off in a lithium-ion battery too large, and the battery protection would engage too soon? Well,
that's a lot
seeing as you would need, dude, I went to a liberal arts college. This is a STEM question. Go ahead, Kurt.
Oh, boy. My computer science degree is going to pay off. Not really. So I actually don't have a lot of experience with the Nanohard. I have, the Titan is pretty much what I know about. Titan batteries, we actually have those coming in. Our order shipped today. Shameless plug. We have all those coming. But I would say, yeah, they should work together. There shouldn't, I've never really heard of this problem, but then again, I also never really looked into it. But we do have customers that run Gate Titans and other MOSFETs with the lithium-ion batteries and have no issue. The other thing with the gates is you can adjust those settings. So I'm pretty sure there's an adjustment in there that you could fine-tune these type of things. So yeah, because the battery protection, you can actually turn that off, you can turn it on, you can adjust the sensitivity. I don't know about the Nanohard, but as far as the Titan goes. So I don't think it would be a big issue. I mean, have you had that issue?
He's not going to be able to answer.
Yeah.
So because he's in the camera right now. So you can't. Yeah. So you're going to have to.
So I would say, I mean, if you're having that issue, it might be wise to do some research on it. But as far as I know, and as far as I've heard, I've never, this is the first question I have ever had of this variety. And I haven't seen anything about it. So I would say probably not. And if need, the Nanohard, I'm not sure, but as far as the Titan, I'm pretty sure you can adjust all that.
I feel like I need a bachelor's in science just to read that question.
Almost. CG Speed.
How do you customize?
Yeah, how do you customize the amp lines? I'm assuming, so when it comes to customizing the amp line, you can choose your colors. Yeah, you can choose, we have a bunch of, there's different weaves. There's standard, which you just pick your color. There's heavy weave, which you also just pick your color. Premium weave, we went through and picked out some of the best combos because our premiums are actually 2 layers of sheathing.
This is a premium. This is a premium right here. It's a clear sheathing, and it's a gold sheathing. Now, this one is a standard. We don't have any heavies here. But
actually, this is not a standard. It's a premium. That's red, black base.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
So we don't have any standards here.
That's okay.
But the biggest thing with customization is getting to choose your heat shrink.
Yeah.
So you can put your name on it, your team name, call sign, whatever you want.
So this is actually Dan's old line. Here, it has a nice little heat shrink. Well, we'll go over the first one that says, Do Hard Dan, and it's got over here a nice little heat shrink of dick butt. So
it says dick butt on it, too.
It's got it.
So, we can't customize the color. We actually get this question sometimes where people are like, oh, you have a black and red line. It's like our black and red spiral. Oh, can you make that black and blue? Or can you make that, black and yellow? Which actually there is a black and yellow. But we can't, if it doesn't exist, we can't make it unless we do a lot of, sorry, it's Jesse's probably going nuts, being like, what the hell are you doing?
Well, they were following us, trying to figure out where to put them.
Okay. So yeah, we can't do that, but you can pick your colors. You can request special heat shrink. We're actually doing a thing now where we sometimes come out with limited edition heat shrink or limited edition colors where it's these are one-offs. So whenever that happens, we'll post it up, and those people that are interested in it can just shoot us a DM. And
some of them are super special, and they're not for sale, and we can't do them. But you'll see some stuff out there that you're like, oh hey, can we get this? No, but we got some cool stuff. We do have some cool stuff. Yeah. Keep an eye out for one I like to call Fat Eric on the Moon. That's a good one. That's coming.
Grab the next one.
So yeah. Oh, dude, this is a thick John. Oh my god.
My gosh, what is that?
Dude.
Is that an essay?
Oh my god. Whoa my god. Okay.
What is that?
This might be okay. This is a thinker. My question is this from Homeworld Full. What do you think is going to be the next big style of event games for Airsoft? We're beginning to see some specialty games from different event promoters, such as Battlehack with their Zombie Z event, and their own multi-AO Milsim that they are planning in September, along with Milsim West with their Insurgency-style games, and Omega Productions along doing their Bushcraft Apocalypse, which begs the question of why so many other companies are doing simple Team A versus Team B engagements. Is it more so just the desire to play at exotic locations, or that the more LARP eccentric, or I guess they're trying to say
LARP-esque.
LARP-esque game have a niche player base? Would love to hear your thoughts. So, there is a reason why the Team A versus Team B engagements continue to thrive, while these new specialty Milsim events are taking place, is one word. Do you know what that word is, Kurt? Preference. So basically, preference is pretty much like how it boils down. Kurt and I both came from a background where we were playing Team A and Team B events with a bunch of cool stuff peppered in. And you're right. Now as things change, we change also. That's not always going to be the case with the mass populace. Okay. Show of hands. How many people have a Nintendo Switch? Who has that Labo thing? But I heard that it sold pretty well. That's pretty much how I would explain it. It's a cool new thing that a lot of people are totally into, but it's just not for us. So when you go into starting an event, there is that linear Team A versus Team B, but you have to redefine what Team A and Team B is. At Omega, there is a Team A and Team B. There's the South and the North tribes, but then there's also the player versus the environment. There's at Milsim West, the Insurgency series. There is a Rust 4. There is the Op 4 and the NATO forces, and then there's a citizenry. And then at the end of the event, you have to pick. So, is it, you looked at the Team A for different teams is how good you look to the citizenry to get them to join you. There's more intricacies because people are smart and they're just showing everybody how smart they are with the capabilities that that they're using to make these events. So I think to answer your initial question, what do you think is going to be the next big style of event games for Airsoft? We're gonna play on the fucking moon, man. No. I think we're gonna see a lot more non-Airsoft AOs being utilized. We're seeing malls getting used. Mm-hmm. We're seeing,
there's military bases.
There's wildlife reserves that are abandoned. Renaissance fairs. Old carnival. There's a lot of stuff. We as a country are also our leisure industry is sort of going bankrupt. So if you're not gigantic, you're nothing. So I've been seeing a lot of amusement parks getting sold off or going abandoned. So all those big name promoters out there need to get on that and do something cool with it. You know what I mean? I've seen horror themed, and that's the other thing is zombie apocalypse games aren't new.
A long time ago,
dude. Let me tell you about this nerd right here. Okay, so Virgin McGee over here got a couple of his boys, and they all bought dusters.
Oh yeah,
the trench coats, and then we went and played at a zombie game, and I think you wore
It was Firefight.
Did you wear a cowboy hat? No, that wasn't Firefight. No, it wasn't. It was just some guy.
Well, we had. If it was out at Dub V's field,
it was that one that was out in the middle of nowhere, and the staging was in a barn.
Yeah,
Greg Brothers was there. That was not Firefight.
That was definitely Firefight.
No, dude.
That was Nate.
No, because none of us had fire. No, because I didn't even have a Firefight character then.
And, no. It was by the Ghostwalkers. We're doing it.
Julie and
Nathan.
Nathan, exactly. But that wasn't It wasn't an official Firefight game.
No, but it was by the same people that did Firefight. So yeah, it wasn't Firefight, but it was them. So, but yes, they did the zombie game where they had all the license plates, and that's actually, I think Rachel was with me. hit that one.
And you had there was a couple other people. There was like you and like 4 other people all wearing dusters. And were you wearing a cowboy hat?
No.
You were wearing like a beanie.
Probably.
Something. But they all just, some of them were wearing cowboy hats. They were all just wearing matching dusters. I just remember you guys all just wearing these matching dusters. And I was like,
it's a long time
looking
ago.
cool, guys.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, like the whole concept of like horror, based genres are like have been out for a while. What I think is going to come next is, I feel like the next big thing is like either like everybody versus all, or it's like one team versus all is going to be a new thing. And you're going to make that team, like, OP. Like, there's just going to be like, hey, we bought a tank, like an actual tank, and you have to take it down with airsoft guns. Like, that's going to be the next thing. That's my thought. Or, like, something... I'd love to see just, like a squad-based, like, everybody versus everybody.
We've actually... So, I like that type of gameplay. We used to do pickup games like that where we would say like, oh, hey, we have enough people to make 10 groups of 8, everybody for themselves. So we would drop those squads at different places, and it's like you would get in a firefight with one squad, and then another squad might come up, and it's like you have to, navigate that type of issue, and it was really cool because it's like you could be running and run smack into another squad, and it was very chaotic, but we did it on like 200 acres, and it was like phenomenal. So I really like that type of gameplay. I think we're probably going to see a lot more of the survival-esque type games or, like Milsim West, for example, being out there for extended periods of time. But with that said, like we were talking about earlier, there's definitely a lot of preference of, the player. A lot of players look at, say, Milsim West, and they're like, I really like the Team A, Team B thing. I don't want to be out there for that long. So a lot of people like to take their break, for lunch, and then afterwards go to Applebee's, the famous airsoft restaurant, hang out.
Why is that the famous airsoft restaurant?
Because all airsofters go to Applebee's.
Dude, Texas
sadly.
Roadhouse, do or die,
Yeah,
brother.
Texas Roadhouse.
Dude, love them buns, man.
So, but, there is preference for that. And then on the other hand, you have people like, I really don't like the Team A, Team B thing. It's just too generic, and I really want to have more immersion. Oh, yeah, I really like this Omega event. Where, they go out and they survive. Or I really like the Mil-Spec or the Milsim West version of it where it's like, oh, hey, we're out there the whole weekend. This is very cool. We're in constant, we're able to be attacked at
We're in
any
the
time.
shit.
Yeah, we're in the shit. So, it's very player dependent. So.
All right, go ahead.
Call sign Shrapnel. What are the best feeding midcaps for a low budget player?
Probably the Elite Force.
Yeah, I'd say.
If you can find some old scrap K120s.
Mag brand. Yeah,
Well, the mag brands are really good, but they can get expensive. Like a box of them are a little bit more
50,
expensive.
55 for 8.
Yeah, but how much is the Elite Force per box?
It's like 75 for 10.
Yeah.
So the Elite Force is probably your cheapest bet.
Yeah.
And they feed pretty well.
I would say if you get some K120s and you watch our video on how to like replace springs.
K120s are more expensive though.
But like I bought, I think like 12 of them for $30.
Oh, that's cheap.
And then I like swapped them all out with the maple.
Did you get them used?
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
So if that might be your best bet, look for the used market. But if you can find like an EPM used or K120s.
The EPMs. I just got a couple of EPMs. And I'm super stoked about them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get them Ranger plates.
So I think EPMs are what
22.
Yeah, 22.
22.
So
yeah. So
cool. Want me to take another one, or you want?
I'll go ahead. Oh, I got 2 here.
I'll take the other one.
Ooh! Ooh!
Oh shit.
Ooh! Oh, Chipotle or Moes?
You go.
Okay, so this was actually like a thing we were talking about the other day. Is that like I was with E-House and Corey and Mike Kabuki from Gun Gamers, and we were talking about Chipotle or Moes, and straight from the camel's mouth. Are we allowed to swear on this? I've been doing it. Are you bleeping? Yeah, we're gonna swear. Corey said straight up, fuck Moes, because if you have something that on your menu that is called Joey Bag of Donuts and it has nothing to do with donuts, then fuck you. So I would say, Kurt's like, oh, so I'm going to have to say Chipotle burritos are super messy. And they don't have those machines where you can like pick your drink. And Moes does. And Moes salsa is way better. But get a fucking donut, my guy. Like.
So for me, I like them both. So okay. Chipotle. Their burritos. Like, I get the burrito bowl. I love their burritos. However, if I go for tacos, I only go to Chipotle for burrito bowls or burritos. Like them a lot. However, and their chips are good. I like their chips, but I'm not a fan. Like, I do like their mild, their medium and corn salsa. I mix it. Really good. However, when I go to Moes,
Oh my god.
I like Moes for, like, I always get their tacos. Like, I get a soft taco. I make little mini burritos. Get that, they're usually their chicken, or if they have special chicken, real good. Get mushrooms, onions, some peppers on there. That's what I'm about. Now, their quesadillas too. Quesadillas, and then the best thing at Moes is their salsa.
Their salsa bar.
Yeah. So I say both. However, if I have an option, I do Moes for a treat. I do Chipotle because
I'll tell you which one I like. I like the one where they greet me at the door.
Whew. But sometimes that goes weird too. I'm not.
If you're there 4 days in a row, and they're like, "Hey, you're back."
And I like Moes tea better. So, because they have like sweet tea,
but
and it's not as like
Chipotle
bitter.
has. How do you say it? Chipotle. How do you say it? How do you say it? No, how do you actually say it? Chipotle.
Yeah.
Chipotle is got that pure leaf stuff, and I like that instead. But you're more like a tea guy.
Oh, I love tea. I don't like pop or soda or whatever you want to call it. Up here we say pop.
I say soda because I'm not from here.
Well. So, Hayden Janeka asks, how long have Tall been playing Airsoft for?
I think he's trying to say y'all.
y'all.
How long? And we say yins here.
Yeah, yins. I never use yins.
How long have yins been playing Airsoft here? Take his and then subtract 2.
Okay, so I started Airsoft in 2003.
Okay,
it's
then
my junior
subtract
year.
1.
Yeah, junior year in high school.
Mine was my freshman year of high school.
Started paintball in '98. So, little transition period. Actually, I played paintball through 2008. So I did both for quite a while.
I went from, I think it was like 05 to.
So I'm over. I'm going on.
Because we played against you in Iron City Classic, didn't we?
Cow. No. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
So you would.
So what would that be?
So you're 2000. You said 2003. So 16 years, 15 years. Yeah.
That's a long time. So been there.
All right. Let's get a couple out of here. Oh, here we go. I want you to read these ones.
Oh.
Well, hold on. Don't read them yet. Okay. These two are for you. I'd love to hear those from you. And then I'll take these two, and then pick one.
Do this guy.
Okay. All right. So I'll go first.
Go for it.
Peter Everett. So I have a couple older GNP rifles. Congratulations. And both the uppers have play. Congratulations. What's the best way to remove this? Can I put foam on top of the gearbox? But there is a massive gap between the upper and lower. What?
I know. Yeah, I know what he's asking.
There's like too much wiggle.
Yeah. So he has the upper body. Essentially, the upper body is wiggling, and has play. So.
What's the best way to remove it?
Tape.
Tape, yeah.
I use electrical tape.
Sort of shim it out with
if you depending on the situation, you can actually use electrical tape on the back end of the gearbox, like where it meets the body. I did that with my.
You've done that with a couple of my guns too.
Yeah, you can do that.
Too much give.
Velcro
works. Like when he says electrical tape, you can use like actual like the rubberized like electrical tape. Or you can use, there is like a sort of like black coated Gorilla Tape.
Yeah, Gorilla Tape
you
works.
Strip down in like little sections and sneak in there, here and there, and that'll like remove any sort of like, it will cause, with the Gorilla, I like the Gorilla Tape because it's less friction and it's more like hold. So because it heats on both sides, but it's not like stuck to both sides.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You have to be careful.
It's very tensile.
If you put it in the wrong place and you force it in, you could sort of screw up your alignment of your nozzle and stuff. So just use it sparingly, but usually that's probably your best bet. I use tape for everything. I mean, you can do a whole bunch of stuff with it. So we'll do one of these.
So these are questions
questions.
that came from a special friend of ours a few days ago that I forgot to record, and that's why they're.
So Mike Kabuki says, "What do you tell people who don't know what airsoft is that you do for a living?" So my biggest thing that I say is just like, "Oh, hey, do you know what paintball is?" And they're like, "Yeah." If they don't know what paintball is, then it's a whole different thing. But if they know what paintball is, I'm like, okay, well, so what I do is airsoft. Do you know what that is? And then they're like, oh yeah. And then it's like, okay, cool. But if not, then I'm like, so airsoft is essentially paintball, but instead of shooting paintballs, we shoot plastic BBs, and the guns are more realistic looking. And that's usually the best way to explain it, at least from my standpoint.
So when I first started here, I didn't think of what I was saying when I was saying it, but the first time anybody asked me, what do you do for a living? I responded, I sell adult toys to kids and their dads.
Oh my God.
it was the realest. And they were like, what? And then I was like, no, wait. I sell guns. And they were like, what? And I was like, fake guns, but they still hurt. And then nothing got better from there. But yeah, I sell adult toys to kids and their dads.
Dad toys.
Dad toys. Dad toys to dads and their kids. This just got demonetized. Benjamin Snow Aldrich. It's a very regal name. Classic Army Stoner 96 or A&K M249 as a base for an HPA setup. Probably the A&K M249. Yeah. Because it's like they have kit built for it.
The Stoner 96, is that just the Stoner LMG?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've never heard it called the Stoner.
I would say the MQ. I think we're both going with the A&K.
Yeah, I mean the A&K 249 is more universal. If you're talking about the Classic Army LMG, it's a pretty easy install. You just need a different nozzle. But the box mags for it can be a pain in the butt. But then again, the M249 box mags can be a pain in the butt. You can upgrade both hop-ups with the Bull Gear hop-ups. The LMG one, the Classic Army LMG, does take a special gear bull hop that has its feed hole widened. So as long as you have that, you're good to go.
Your feed hole.
Yeah, feed hole. The LMG is probably a little lighter. It also looks a little different. So I would consider the Classic Army LMG a higher quality externally than the A&K. I would maybe say get a Classic Army M249 as a base, if you can. We actually have those on the way too.
Do we really?
Yeah, we have a Para and a Mark II.
Oh shit.
So, yeah, I'd say the M249. If you go with the Classic Army, or if you want to go with the LMG, both are good. The only thing is, like I said, the LMG does take some weird box mags. They work well, but they're sometimes finicky. So, okay, another question. Riley Carlston. I use a Redline N7 for a bucking. Should I go with the Prometheus Purple or the Mad Bull Blue? Also, with that, what's a good nub to use?
Oh no, I don't think. Yeah. Okay.
I sort of paraphrased a little.
Can I have an opinion on that.
Go.
I was gonna say, why not try the Promi Blue?
It's already flat hopped.
Exactly. With the Namazu.
For
It's
me-
like every time somebody asks us what we should say for like a nub, it should just be like, boom, Namazu. Next question.
So, I was gonna say there is, I personally use the Promi Purple in pretty much everything of mine. Works great. The blue, like the Promi Blue, like he was saying with a flat, that's awesome. I've actually never used a Mad Bull Blue.
I haven't either.
But as far as nub, like I've used the Mad Bull Red, the Shark. I'm like on the fence about it. I like my purple, my Promi purple or Promi blue better.
Aren't they like kind of cheap too?
They are.
They're not
You get
cheap
two-
quality. They're
you
just
get
like
two for
cheap
12.
To get. Yeah,
I think it's
exactly.
2 for
$12.
Yeah, it's 2 for 1.
The nub, the Firefly is usually our customers go to. The Orga Dimension is close second. It's literally the same performance.
I only like the Orga because they have a little bit more room.
It's
To,
pre-cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to like cut as much of it, if any.
To like fuck yeah. So.
Yeah. That's what I got on that.
Another Redline N7 question here. Caleb Klein asks, which do you prefer? Wolverine Reaper electromechanical or Redline N7 Milsim or the new version
Which is
of
the Hurricane.
So it's the Hurricane. I've used both. I like the N7 Milsim. I really like Redline, and I think it's one of those, the amount of like advertising that I've done for them, like just in these 3 episodes alone.
He's like, get me a gun.
No,
No,
but
just
like,
kidding.
like if a chainsaw ended up underneath my Christmas tree.
Damn. Yeah, I was gonna say with I really like the Redline. The nice thing with the mechanical, like the 100% mechanical, is there's no battery, there's no shorting, there's no anything. Whereas like the Reaper has to have a battery. So like, I feel like they're in 2 separate classes. But
I feel like I get a couple questions, like a day where people are like, hey, like I took my gun out, it was raining, and now my gun doesn't work. And I'm like, I don't have that issue. I can take a big swim, come out, let my gun drain a little bit, give it a little dippy dip, and then I'm back to scooting. But that's just a little upside to not having any electronic parts. The only issue is I can't go full auto. So
Yeah.
it's like it's a true spec like Nelson weapon. So.
cool. Thad Hill 74. In your opinion, why use heavier BBs, and will it help? And what will it help? So will it help, and what will it help? So yes, please. I know back in the day, everybody's like, oh man, I use heavyweight BBs. There's 2.5s. They're so heavy. And then I'm like, well, why not go heavier? And I was actually one of the first people in like my local scene that was like, oh man, like I see some 2.8s. I'm going to grab those. I use those. I'm like, oh my God, this is actually like really good. And all of a sudden I'm out shooting everybody. And then I'm like, okay, hey, there's 3s now. Okay, I'm going to grab those. And same thing, they shoot better. So everybody in our local community started catching on to that, and they're like, oh yeah, let's do this. And like, I'm like, yeah, here's what you do. Put this in your gun. Make sure your hop has enough travel on it. This is going to make your gun shoot better. Do it. And then HPA came along. HPA is even crazier because you need heavier. Like a 2.8 is like pretty much like a 2 or a 2.5 with an HPA rifle. Whereas like 3.2 is probably the lowest you want to go. But, I like using heavier BBs because they have more stable flight path. They typically carry their energy further because they're heavier. They are more accurate. They do require more hop, so you need to make sure that your hop is able to hop it. If you can't, then you need to adjust your hop or modify your hop so that it can by using like a bigger nub. So yeah, it's going to help it's going to resist wind. It's going to be more accurate. It's going to be more consistent, and it's also going to fly further. Now, obviously, there's a plateau that happens because if you go too heavy and your gun's not powerful enough, then you're going to start sacrificing range or the ability to hop, one of the two. So I personally, like for example, on mine, I use 4.8s in all of my Polarstar rifles, and they're only chronoing at 1.5 joules. So that's like basic like rifleman power. So we'll say under 400 feet per second as far as with like a 2. So, and like the amount of range and accuracy I get out of it is just insane. So they do travel slower. You have to take that into consideration. Some people don't like that, but I prefer having the accuracy and the range over it getting to target faster. Because usually I'm so far away, I run suppressed, they can't hear it anyway. So by the time it hits them, they're like, oh, where'd it come from? So yeah, definitely recommend. If you have an AEG, I say use like 3.2s. unless you can use heavier, but 3.2s is probably about what you use for an AEG, a basic one. For HPA, I would say if you can run 40s, no less than like 3.6s or 3.2s at the minimum. If you can run over 40, definitely do it. It's still a game changer.
Speedboy Airsoft asks, do I need something to cover the fill valve on an air tank? Because the first one I got leaked through the fill valve, and I have yet to try the replacement one.
You don't need to, but it's a good idea, because if you get dust in there, like say you're running an air stock and you're crawling around in the mud and you get mud on your gun, and then next thing you know, your fill nozzle on your tank is filled with mud. If you go to get it filled and say they don't wipe that out, it's going to push all that into your tank, which then in turn goes into your regulator on your tank head through your regulator, and it'll gunk it up. Or it could go even worse, it could go into your gun and then get in your solenoid and sort of gunk it up, and then you're going to have a lot of performance issues. So it is a good idea to have a cap on there. Now they do have like basic rubber caps that just sort of like clamp on there and they just push on. Super cheap. They have magnetic ones like Ninja. They're called magnet caps. We usually have those. They just clip on. Those are real cool. If you have it in your backpack, it's less of an issue, but it's still a good idea because you can get fuzz in it and just whatever.
Like Velcro stitches. Yeah.
So.
We have 2 more questions. We're going to finish up here. Wait, I think... Oh, no. Actually, we have a couple more. But I think these might be the last 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So how about you answer that one and I'll answer this last one?
2 questions left.
2 questions left.
Derek Chung, 26. Best BB on the market. So it really depends. I personally, you can't go wrong with Elite Force, as your basic BB. The 3.2 Elite Force, I would say is your, best, so many people use them. You can't go wrong with it. I use the when I use a 3.2, I usually use them. If you're looking for a higher end, a higher weight, high power airsoft, the HPA BBs, they're really good.
Or BLS.
BLS, really good. Those are pretty much the 3 brands. You got BLS, Elite Force, and HPA.
Maple's got some Johns, but I don't
Maple does have some BBs, but I'm not sure. We don't have we've tried their lower weights and stuff, but we don't carry them currently. But that may change in the future. It's as an airsoft company, it's we have already. Actually, we have 4. Tippmann BBs are also good for quality. ASG also has their 3.6s, 4s, and 4.3s. So as a airsoft company, we already have 5 brands of BBs. So usually we're not looking to add more. We just like to keep what we have in stock, so that way we have enough of them. So that's sort of my take on it.
This is the last one. Question: what is the ventilation on that Humvee? Frank has the worst farts ever, and I'm terrified for Sato. So that's been asked, Amp.
It has lots of ventilation. It's you. Frank's farts will not kill you. You'll actually be dying of diesel
emissions.
Emissions first. But it's cool.
Are we talking about that?
Yes.
Okay.
So you want to do the restock?
So a restock, we're gonna have. I think I saw somewhere close to 20 new guns.
Well, actually, there are over 200 new items. Of those, at least
20 of them are
20
guns.
to 30.
And there's going to be we have new packs from Condor. We have some stuff coming in from LBX, Redline, Polarstar. We've got
Wolverine.
Stuff coming in from Wolverine. We've got
MTWs.
Stuff coming from MTWs. We've got the Max Hops will be in soon. Very, very, very popular. So if you do want a Max Hop, make sure you get on there as early as you can.
I was gonna say Max Hops. We have the LED version coming back, the standard version. I'm also getting the Scar type. So those guys that have the Scar.
We have the AW Customs that are coming out. We have Elite Force. We have Titan. We're gonna have this is a new product that we're carrying. We have the Armistice 2 rigs. We have
First Strike tanks.
Ninja. We are gonna have some LBT stuff. We're gonna have
trying to get 511.
Yeah,
they haven't got back to me yet, but that could be a thing.
Yeah, NC Star. It's going to be a huge restock, and we're super excited about it. And one of the reasons that we're super excited about it, because it also means it's the beginning of season. And season is something I talk about all the time, and it's Milsim season, and it is coming. The hibernation is over, boys. Get those packs out, and we'll see you in the Walmart parking lot. you know, you're going to see us at a lot of different events, and we're going to be pushing all this stuff that we have, and we're going to have new stuff throughout the year. It's very exciting for us, you know, and I'll do my best to not try to buy everything up as soon as it comes in the door. But, you know, I want to let you guys know, huge restock. On top of having a huge restock,
I was going to say, because of that, we're calling it our fire sale. We've done this before. We're doing it now. But what you want to do is email deals@ampedairsoft.com. Ask for the list. We will send you the list, and then you can look at the list, and then you can contact us with your order for it.
Do you have lemon tree insurance?
Lemon tree insurance?
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. My name's Chris.
I'm going to drink more coffee. I'm Kurt.
And this has been the Ask Amped ASMR.
Version 2.